This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
When local growers put great food on Tennessee tables, that's living green. On the next Live Green Tennessee, we stop by Red Silo and World Foods in Cookeville. Next, we stop by White Pine Acres in Knoxville. And finally, we return to Cookeville to visit the Jere Whitson Garden. All this and more on the next Live Green Tennessee.
Pick Tennessee helps you find local farms and farmers markets, plus offers tips for choosing, using, and storing the fresh foods you buy. The Pick Tennessee mobile app is available now on iTunes and Google Play.
What makes our state unique? Find out on the Tennessee Channel, a statewide initiative by your public television stations. Each program is created in Tennessee, about Tennessee, and broadcasted in Tennessee.
Hello, I'm Melinda Kiefer, and I'm proud to bring you stories from across our great state on Live Green Tennessee. You never know when something you were going to throw away could be useful to someone else. One of Cookeville's local brewers, Red Silo, and local restaurant, World Foods, found out they could make a great pizza using the spent grains from Red Silo's brewing process.
I'm Elijah Thoman. This is our CEO, Mark Vandenbleek, our COO, Jim Helton, and we're Red Silo Brewing Company. Cookeville's first microbrewery, and we make all of our beers in-house.
Well, the process of getting started as the first brewery is several years ago, Jim Helton, next door to me, actually is next door to me, he's my neighbor. He and I started home brewing in his kitchen. We later progressed to put it in my cabin. We converted the whole basement. We really like to brew a lot of types of beer. We started brewing more and more beer. We started doing some events. Folks really liked our beer and said that we should be in business. So that's how we kind of got in this whole thing. And we knew Elijah, and Elijah wanted to be involved in this as well, so he teamed up and we started scaling this thing up.
Well, we've been really well received, actually. And just to a point what Mark was saying, a little shout out to WCTE and the Blues and Brews is when we first got our first experience exposure to the public with our beers, and it really grew from there. But we've been open about 8 weeks now, and the response has been fantastic.
We were chatting with World Foods a little bit about what would it be possible. We don't have food here, but we welcome food to come in indoors, and World Foods is right around the corner. They make spectacular food. So we started chatting with them a little bit, and when we were talking with the folks at World Foods, they thought it might be interesting to have a cooperative use. We first looked at our yeast, and we aren't done with that yet, but it quickly came upon that our spent grain may be of interest for their pizza crust.
I think it's a great partnership. I mean, it shows our the West Side kind of teaming up together. It's helped their business and our business tremendously. I mean, if you come in here on a Friday or Saturday night, you're probably going to see 6 to 8 different boxes of World Foods pizza, and they've worked out a great system with delivering it, and people are super happy with the pizza. I mean, if you've had the Red Silo pizza crust, it's nothing else that you've ever had before.
My name is Jonathan McCauley. I'm one of the owners here at World Foods. World Foods is a small deli and grocery store We carry a lot of Mediterranean and other imported items. We've known Elijah over at Red Silo for a long time. Me and Bill had started home brewing a couple years ago when we started living together. As Elijah got involved with the Red Silo Brewery, they were looking for somebody to provide food for the brewery. They turned to us since we're right around the corner and also have a very local niche here in the community. So yeah, we provide delivery service over to Red Silo so that people can enjoy our pizza and other sandwiches while they're drinking local craft beer.
I'm Bill Hederick. I'm one of the owners here at World Foods. World Foods is a nice little deli located here on the historic west side in Cookeville, Tennessee. We have a variety of foods, including pizza as well as some Mediterranean sandwiches. World Foods was originally opened in 1999 by Alan Sharon DeFoche. It has changed ownerships and names a few times. Recently, Alan Sharon took it over. They reopened under their name. I started working for them about 3 or 4 years ago. Got to know them very well. We got to learn the recipes very well, and myself and Jonathan took over January of this year. In college, we used to do home brewing together, and that's where we got to meet Elijah over at Good Shepherd. From then, when Red Silo started opening up, they were running into a little issue of not having food served at their brewery. So we sat down, figured out a way that we could deliver our food, and over time we started playing around with their grain and developed a signature that we provide to them, which is our pizza.
What I love about working here at World Foods is being able to connect with so many regulars and locals in the community as they come in. I really get to know them, and it's nice to see some similar faces as well as new ones throughout on a daily basis.
You get to know a lot of our local community, and it's been wonderful to feel welcomed with open arms by multiple people coming in. We had a big shoes to fill with Alan Sharon leaving, and hopefully we've accomplished just that.
One thing we definitely pride ourselves on is having some of the best food in the area, and we love providing that to the local customers. You know, since we do focus on Mediterranean style food and grocery items, a lot of our items are imported, but something that we do like to focus on is bringing in local products and things that are developed here in the area so that we can showcase them and help people to get their product out there to the local community.
One thing that we're really known for is our pizza. Including the Red Silo spent grain crust that we do. We'll receive the grain after they brew over there, and from then, instead of drying it, we ended up freezing it. And once it's frozen, we're able to break it down into finer pieces, and from then we just basically mock our old recipe of dough, but we incorporate the Red Silo grain into it, which gives it a nice different texture. It's a little bit heartier, and the color, especially when we're using that 509 stout, is incredible.
It's been great working with Red Silo. It's been a great cooperation. We've really seen an increase in business. They bring us spent grain, and we provide it right back to their patrons in pizza form.
There's nothing quite like the smell of a fresh cut Christmas tree. At White Pine Acres in Carnes, the Stevens family has grown more than trees. They've grown a holiday tradition for other families to enjoy year after year.
When we first started doing this, I told my kids, we're not selling Christmas trees, we're selling a tradition. You know, you can't have really an old-fashioned Christmas anymore, but you can make it as close as possible. Try and make it as simple as possible. We give people a saw, you cut it down, you bring it back. And that's what we're after, is people coming out as a tradition. And most of them think of it that way.
You know, once you have a tradition, you just kind of stick with it. And it's fun to come out with the kids. argue about finding which tree we want and figuring out who is going to decide on this year's tree, that sort of thing.
People come out, they don't just come out and get a tree and leave. Most of the time when they come out, this may be the most beautiful tree on the lot, or in the field, but they've got to go all the way to the back and look at every tree out here. They may spend an hour or so out here looking for that perfect tree for them. And then they come back up and they have some hot chocolate or spiced cider, and the kids roast marshmallow. I mean, it becomes an entertainment. I think there's a desire with a lot of people to go back to simpler times. I'm Jim Stevens. My wife and I own White Pine Acres Christmas Tree Farm. We came up with the name White Pine Acres because all we raise is white pines. For this area and this type of soil, the white pine is the easiest tree to raise and requires less trouble. They are produced by Tennessee, and they're grown or genetically improved to be a better shaped Christmas tree. The seedlings, they're not available until the first day of July. You have to send an order in to Tennessee Division of Forestry, and you order the trees in lots of 500 or 1,000 or what have you. Then we plant them. They won't show up until January, and the seedlings come in, they're dormant. It's a 2-year-old seedling. They're dormant, they're bare root, and we plant them then in January while they're still dormant. We usually order about 1,000 trees, and we normally plant around 500 new trees, and then we go back and replant any of the trees, seedlings that have died the year before. We planted the first trees in 1987, 2 years after we were married. We thought this would make a good retirement income. Well, after a few years in Mother Nature and everything else, we figured out we can't really make much of a profit at this. But it was a lot of fun. So after a while, we decided, okay, we'll keep doing it and we'll just call it a hobby. So now it's a hobby, and we've been doing it for over 20 years now. We cut our first homegrown Christmas tree in December of '93. So that was a 6-year-old tree. And it wasn't a very big tree, but we settled for a small tree that first Christmas. And it was a good feeling, and we thought, okay, we're on our way or what have you. But it is a lot of work. A lot of people don't realize how much work it is. It's not just a matter of getting out here and selling trees. There's work to be done year round. We plant 4 rows a year. There's about 117 trees per row, so that's almost 500 trees a year that we plant. And the kids come out, our trees will come in January, and the kids all come out, and we have a planting party, and we plant the trees. Then come mid-June to mid-July, every branch on every tree has to be trimmed. So you look around, there's 4,000 to 5,000 trees total out here, and every one of them has to be trimmed. So that's right in the heat of summer. It's hot and sticky, and it's a miserable job, but the kids come out and trim them in the summertime. And the fact that, okay, we're grandparents and parents, and it's a cheap price to pay to get to see your kids every weekend. Kay's 22. She started working here when she was around 3 or 4. And her mom and dad, of course, worked out here on the weekends. We had a boom box, and we used Christmas tapes. So Kay's job was to make sure there was music playing. So she had to flip the tape over or put a new tape in. And for that, we paid her $0.25 a day, and she was happy. Now she still works here, but we can't get by with paying her $0.25 a day.
I'm really good at stocking hot chocolate, hot cider, and marshmallows. I stay on top of that. Well, I've been raised in the we're creating a tradition mantra, and so it is. It's really special to be a part of people's Christmas traditions, and as much as I look forward to being able to come out and sell trees, I know that there are people that look forward to coming out and cutting down their tree and having that time with their family. It's never been about how many people we can get out here. It's about being a part of people's Christmas traditions.
These trees, you know, you can keep them up all Christmas and they're not going to die. They're not going to lose any needles. You know, they're fresh. And our people now that come all the time have got used to that. Unfortunately, that's caused them to come out earlier and earlier, and we're getting wiped out the first weekend of sales because people coming out early, because they know they can keep that tree up until after Christmas and it'll still be nice. There's no way I could close it, because the people, I think they would string me up if I tried closing it, because they'll come out and they'll take a Charlie Brown tree as long as they can get a tree. But, you know, they'll still come and get their tree every year. Our whole idea is to make something that sort of adds to Christmas. I mean, it makes for a more enjoyable Christmas. You know, it's not just buying a tree, it's having fun and enjoying it and sort of understanding what all Christmas is about.
Jere Whitson Elementary School doesn't just want to teach in the classroom, they also want to teach in the garden. With their wonderful new garden, Jere Whitson plans to show children exactly where their food comes from and how hard work and sunshine make it happen.
Gardens are not new. A lot of the schools in Europe, they have school gardens, and they've had them, you know, since the early 1900s. The children learned work ethics. They learned how to work in teams, work with partners. Those are all values that you need, whether you continue on, you know, working the land or you go in a factory. Those are quality things that you need to know. And what a better way to do it than outdoors, you know, where it's okay to make mistakes.
We came to discover that there was some property that was adjacent to our campus that was actually not being utilized. And as soon as our superintendent became aware of this, we set about to make certain that this was maintained, mowed, and then of course through our Putnam County Schools extended learning program, really Brenda Hewitt set out as the supervisor of those programs.
In 2014, the fall of 2014, I was hired for this position, and one of the teachers from Jere Whitson had talked to me about gardening and had talked to me about some land that she thought might belong to Putnam County School System, and would I look into it. After that initial discussion, that's what I did. I started looking into that, going through the proper channels that I needed to go through. And we had a piece of land surveyed and checked, and we found out that we had almost an acre that is just down the sidewalk from the school on the other side of the playground.
We're in the process of creating an agriculture lab. Many schools have school gardens, but we decided that we wanted our students to experience not just the opportunity to grow different things in a garden, but to really observe, experiment, and learn a lot about the entirety of agriculture, which offers so many different rich academic and experiential opportunities for them.
I think it's important for elementary school, one, to learn where their food comes from, the nutrition value, there's work ethics, and there's nothing like being outdoors, close to nature. Kids are so far removed from nature, they're actually nature deprived because they're all sitting inside watching TV or playing their Nintendo games or video games or on an iPad. Not that that's not good, but there's more exercise outside and learning where your food comes from.
During summer camp, we were able to make salsa with the students. They were able to we brought in a food processor. We talked about all of the vegetables. We washed them, cleaned them. We talked about the whole process. that it took from seed to ground to harvesting to cleaning them to using them to make this salsa.
They didn't know what a radish was before. Now they all know what a radish is and they love it. They didn't know what fried okra was. So we spent one day just frying okra from the okra we grew in the garden. They love it. They ate it like it was popcorn. It gives the kids some pride, self-confidence.
With the focus in many academic programs, and ours even increasingly so in STEM and STEAM, we found that agriculture is a wonderful basis for our students to really explore science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And of course, you'll even hear from some of my colleagues that the A may not be just simply for arts, but for agriculture itself. We're often considered sort of a community school because most of our students actually walk to school, and we actually only have, I think, 3 buses that bring students to school. We wanted to make certain that this wasn't merely an experience for our students during the school day, but really one that could involve multiple facets of our community, involving the students' families, involving the Tennessee Tech students. We've been fortunate to really develop a number of different partnerships.
I really enjoy working with the kids in a school garden. I know that the kids will probably never grow up to be farmers. They used to say, 4 and 5 generations removed from the farm, but I think it's getting closer to being 7 generations removed from the farm. So if children don't know what this stuff smells like, it's a good experience for them.
We're very excited about the endeavor that we began 2 years ago. This is the start of the 3rd year with this program, and it's been really fun. It's been really interesting to see how engaged students are in the process of not just starting at the seed underground, but in the harvesting, in the cafeteria, saving food that can go into compost and being able to take that compost and put it back into the ground and talk about those nutrients and how they're important to the growing process.
I think they have a great time. I think that our students are now realizing more where their food comes from. They're also getting the opportunity to experience the different possibilities that they may have in terms of college and career once they get beyond our school. So we are a pre-K through 4th grade school, and many of our students have not had any of these agricultural experiences because we are right here next to Tennessee Tech's campus, and really a lot of them just do not have farmers in their families and do not have much of an agriculture experience.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Live Green Tennessee, where we take you all across the state into the farms and businesses of those who are making the move to eating fresh, living sustainably, and helping us all be more organic in our thinking and the way we live our lives as Tennesseans. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Live Green Tennessee.
If you would like more information about Live Green Tennessee, please visit our website at livegreentv.org, where you can find everything from healthy recipes to past episodes and more.
Pick Tennessee helps you find local farms and farmers markets, plus offers tips for choosing, using, and storing the fresh foods you buy. The Pick Tennessee mobile app is available now on iTunes and Google Play.
What makes our state unique? Find out on the Tennessee Channel, a statewide initiative by your public television stations. Each program is created in Tennessee, about Tennessee, and broadcasted in Tennessee. This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.